Hello and welcome to the program. Tonight, plans for a cycleway in Salthill have been shelved after a backlash. And the Corrib Great Southern Hotel has finally been demolished. Plans for a temporary cycle lane in Salthill have been cancelled. The lane was originally supported by the majority of Galway City Council, but a recent vote has gone against the 3-kilometre lane.
The controversial Salthill cycle lane appears to be a plan of the past, before it even existed in the present. The cycle lane was first proposed last September by Mayor Colette Connolly and originally received widespread support on the council from a vote of 17-1 in favour. Cyclists claim that the cycle lane was key to making cycling safer in Galway City and would help with traffic congestion issues.
Today is a community cycle to remind people that the purpose of the proposed cycleway for Salthill is to make cyclists safe. It is to make the roads safe so that children, teenagers, adults, people with disabilities can get around Salthill safely.
On Tuesday, the 15th of February, Galway City Council overturned their original plan and revoked the cycle lane by a vote of 13-4. The route was also opposed by the emergency services, who claimed that the new cycle lane could have a negative effect on their responding time and their entry to the west side of the city. Also, 60% of just under 7,000 submissions to the public consultation process for the proposal were against the creation of a cycle lane.
Hi, this is Galway's biggest ever community cycle, the Big Red Community Cycle, so that our city and our councillors will just go ahead and build a temporary 3-kilometre cycle path.
The cycle lane has been a topic of intense discussion and unprecedented controversy since its proposal in September 2021. With the definitive council vote against the cycle lane, that discussion appears to have reached its conclusion, at least for now. Rachel Timoney, NUI Galway News.
So here we have Alan Cheevers, the councillor from Fianna Fáil, and we have Niall Murphy, the councillor from Green Party, to discuss further about Salthill cycle lane and the controversies behind it. So Alan, my first question is to you. I would like to know what made you change your mind from being in favour of the cycle lane trial and then going against it?
Well, I suppose firstly, I felt that, there is definitely need for a cycleway in the city, and I thought the proposal at the outset was that, we would vote for it and we would get a constructive plan that I think that would suit all the different parties within the area. For example, the businesses, the residents, the people with disabilities, community groups, etc. But when we got presented the actual two options, and we studied them, and I did study them, I wasn't glazing over them, we studied them intently. We just felt that they weren't workable, I suppose, and we outlined, my party outlined the reasons why, and that was, first of all, obviously the blue light services, the residents, the businesses, and the community groups, and we just felt that it wasn't workable for all these groups, and we felt that it would be a situation that it would impede a lot of people and the quality of their life. Now, obviously Niall will think different, and that's his prerogative. I suppose as councillors we're democratic, we have different views, but personally our party view was the situations I've outlined.
Okay. Yeah. So Niall, I'd like to ask, what do you have to say about the plans? Alan's saying the plan is not workable for everyone. So what do you think?
So there was two options there, and my own opinion was option 2 is better than option 1. One of the plans had a one-way stretch for about 3 kilometres, which did cause a lot of difficulties even for public transport and so on. But if you look at any of the problems in option 2, all those problems exist anyway. I mean, you could say the blue light services, the emergency services couldn't get from, say, a sea point out to Spiddle or somewhere because of one-way traffic. But on a sunny day in Salthill, when you've got a lot of traffic, they can't get by anyway. And they certainly can't drive down where the cars are parked. And one of the options there was the cycle lane could have been used by the emergency vehicles. Now, there's different views in different parts of Ireland. In Dublin they do it. In Galway they claim they couldn't drive on a cycle lane. But it certainly at least was an option, which is certainly not there if there's cars parked there. And the other objections about the general amount of parking, again, on a sunny day or if there's a match in Pearse Stadium, there's lots of occasions when the problem exists anyway.
That's
so if you want to solve those problems, solve them. Cycle lane wasn't making it worse.
Okay, so I will ask, like, we are saying that the cycle lane is for people, but when we got the opinion from people, 60% of the people have voted against the cycle lane. So what would you say about that?
Well, an awful lot of the time it's how the question is asked. I mean, if you ask those people, did they want more traffic, did they want more pollution, you might have got a different answer. And the whole point is that Galway's going to increase in population by about 50%, according to the city development plan that both Alan Cheevers and myself are working on, and all, with the other councillors. And if the population goes up by 50%, will the number of cars go up by 50%? And if we design a city for cars, then it will go up by 50%. And if you have 50% more cars, everything's at a standstill anyway. What you need is bike lanes to get some people, some percentage of people, out of their cars. Or at least when we get to the point where we can't fit any more cars, there's some option there for other people. But at the moment, we never vote for the option that includes bicycles or alternatives to the car. And that's the catch.
Okay, so Alan, I would like to ask you, like, the pollution, the number of cars in Galway, everything is like at a level, a high level, I'll say. So the cycle lane, will it come, like in some recent times, come back with a better plan? Or?
Well, listen, I'm very much, even though I'm a Fianna Fáil, I'm all about the green agenda. And we've had, obviously our carbon emissions have to be reduced. It's part of the plan for the next number of years. And we have a responsibility in the local authority to bring that down by 50%. And that's the reality. I think the responsibility is for all over the world, not just for Galway. Yeah. But what I would say is that at the moment, I think it's important to point out that we have 12 cycle-in projects within the city, right across the city. They're the process being implemented. Even in my own area now, Roscommon, where I live, the Martin Roundabout is under construction, and part of that is the cycle lanes going from Duishka Road, which is beside Roscommon, right up as far as the Galway Clinic and down as well. So I think that is positive. There's also cycle lanes going into the North Duishka Road, Ballyban and Castle Park Road, as well as Ballylahan. And there's projects, obviously Niall will be able to enlighten you more on them, on his area as well. So I think the council, even though I have to be honest, I think the council failed in a way to deliver the Galway transport strategy, because in 2017 they introduced the proposals for the Galway transport strategy, but in that time very little has been delivered. So I think, they say they're short of staffed, and they have obvious reasons why.
So I would like to interrupt you here because, we are lack of time. So thank you, Alan, and thank you, Niall, for joining us here. An orange wind warning is currently in effect for Galway. Met Éireann issued the alert in preparation for Storm Eunice, which battered the country last night and this morning. Our reporter Mark Lynch is in Salthill.
Yes, thank you, Nihan. Welcome to a wet and windy Salthill, although maybe not quite as windy or as wet as previously feared. Galway's orange wind warning came into effect at 3 o'clock this morning and is due to end in around about half an hour. And not to tempt fate, but we may be over the worst of it, with not as much significant damage as previously feared. So the Galway City Council sent out their crews early this morning for any potential cleanups or to see if there was damage done. High tide also passed this morning at about 6 o'clock with no reports of flooding. There is still a yellow wind warning in effect for Galway until about 6 o'clock this evening. There's also a yellow snow and ice warning that's in effect until tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Waterford still has a red wind warning at the moment from Met Éireann due to Storm Eunice, but it seems like here in Galway we may be over the worst of it. But as I say, 2 yellow warnings still in place for Galway until 6 o'clock this evening for the wind and 10 o'clock tomorrow for snow and ice. So the advice would still be just to take that little bit of care if you're out and about. Back to you in the studio.
The demolition of the former Corrib Great Southern Hotel has been completed. The building on the east side of Galway City had been derelict for over 14 years.
This site on the Dublin Road in the outskirts of Galway City was once home to a bustling hotel. The Corrib Great Southern Hotel sold for $30 million in 2006, closed its doors for good in 2007 and has lain idle since. Following years of antisocial behaviour at this derelict site, including arson, demolition began in August last year, much to the delight of both locals and local representatives.
don't think really it was a good advertisement for the city. People coming to visit, and that's a main artery to come into the city, and then they were seeing this derelict building and wondering what was going on here. So I suppose it's Galway City Council, as well as the councillors and the general public, are delighted to see it's finally demolished. I was up there yesterday myself. It's all we have now is a pile of rubble to be taken away, which is great. And I'd hope to see that, that we will see a constructive plan by the developers and the owners of the site going forward. I think that's really important.
No plans have been submitted by the current owners, Trigo Property Company Limited and Well Corrib Limited, for the development of the site. However, 1/3 is zoned for educational use, and it lies directly across the road from the GMIT campus. GMIT, soon to be part of the Atlantic Technological University, has just announced the purchase of the Galwegians Rugby Club grounds for almost 9 million. This has led to calls from Galway City councillors to withdraw the educational zoning, but student representatives say having use of the site will be a great help. The rubble and debris sitting behind us here is to be cleaned up within the next few weeks. All eyes turn to the owners to see what they'll do next. This is Ellie Mitcham-Ewan, NUI Galway News.
Property prices in Galway have risen again according to new figures released by the Central Statistics Office. The Residential Property Price Index for December of last year showed average prices for the city rose by over €30,000 in the space of 12 months. Our reporter Rachel Timoney has more.
Property prices in Galway have increased by 172% from their lowest point after the financial crash in 2013. The average sale price for property in the Galway region is now over €320,000. Prices are even higher in the city alone, with average sale prices of €335,000. That's up from €301,000 at the end of 2020, an 11% increase in just 1 year. Average property prices in the county have risen again, now hitting almost €250,000. Nationally, average sale prices went up by over 16% over the last year. According to the CSO figures, property prices nationally are now almost 8% of the way back to the peak of Celtic Tiger levels.
That's it for now. Good night.